Thanks for joining us for another edition of The Small Business Show with Jim Fitzpatrick.
Hey everyone, Jim Fitzpatrick. Thanks so much for tuning in to another edition of The Small Business Show right here at ASBN.com. A book recently released aimed to help entrepreneurs and business owners scale their companies titled The Business Scaling Blueprint, Building a Foundation to Grow Your Brand, is set to be a bestseller this Small Business Month. On today's show, we're pleased to welcome the book's author and award-winning entrepreneur, Mr. Tony DiSilvestro. Thank you so much, Tony, for joining us on the show today.
Oh, my pleasure. I'm glad to be here.
Sure. I've got the book right here in my hand. It is an incredible book. We highly recommend for those that are interested in getting the book, which should be everybody listening to this broadcast today, because our audience, as you know, Tony's made up of entrepreneurs and small business owners. This is a must read. We're going to make a link right below this video to make it very nice and easy for you to order your copy. But please, when I tell you it's a good book, you guys can count on me. This is a good book. Small business owners, entrepreneurs, medium-sized business owners. If you're in business, get the book. I'm telling you, it's going to help you. So let me jump in here, Tony, and tell me first and foremost and share with our viewers a little bit about your background.
Sure. You know, grew up on the Jersey Shore as a kid, and it was 4 months of Harry and 8 months of worry. Started my entrepreneurial journey there, and I've founded a lot of companies in my life. Been in the restaurant business, construction, manufacturing. I have 2 SaaS companies. So really, I took the journey of entrepreneurship, and the term serial entrepreneur is not a term I love, but I just love business and I love people, because I truly believe we're all in the same exact business. We're in the 98.6 degree business.
There you go. Was that the motivation behind writing the book? You kind of felt as though I've got this knowledge of opening up and running successful businesses, and I can share this with others. Tell me about the motivation.
My motivation to write the book was the same thing you guys are doing. I'm all about entrepreneurs winning. The failure rate in entrepreneurship is way too high. And typically it's key fundamentals that really hurt small businesses, and they don't understand. We get into business as technicians, but we don't take the time to actually learn the process and procedures to actually be successful in entrepreneurship.
That's right. That's right. I couldn't agree more. There's no question about it. If you could point to 1 or 2 things that business owners need to do to prepare themselves to open up a business, what would that be? I mean, what's at the top of that list?
It's really developing their systems. I call it systemizing your systems from the beginning, right? So we get into business and we don't really think about defining our systems well enough, because we're expecting employees to be able to follow our processes and procedures. But typically entrepreneurs, they go into business and they don't think that through thoroughly enough. And then their employees start failing and they don't understand why. That's right.
That's right. And today we cannot afford to have employees bailing, right? It's tough enough to get employees to work for our businesses, and especially small businesses. We don't want it to be a revolving door, right? It's important to build a culture at a company and keep those employees happy, right?
Yeah, I tell people, really, I don't hire employees at all. I invest in employees. And by developing systems, processes, and procedures, you can actually invest in your people, because we expect an investment back from them. So I always say, I invest in my employees. I don't hire them.
Yeah, that's a very, very good point. There's no question about it. And I think a lot of people don't look at it that way. Sometimes they look at it as an expense, like, I got to put 3 more people on the payroll. What am I going to do? But you've got the right viewpoint there, that it really is an investment in your own business, isn't it?
It is. I mean, and delegation is critically important. And I teach delegation from a different point of view. I teach it from the employee's perspective. Instead of thinking of a delegation process from the founder or the CEO's process, I go right from the employee. What is the mindset of the employee? And do we have the right employee actually to delegate to? Yeah. Because, failure, when an employee fails, we need to criticize ourselves, not the process. We criticize ourselves as the person that delegated, not the employee.
Yeah, for sure. There's no question about it. And my father used to say, for every time you point a finger at somebody, there's 4 fingers being pointed back at you, and that's so true. Especially in this case, that if an employee does end up leaving the organization, what is it we could have done different as business owners to ensure the success of that employee, right? Rather than just pointing the finger and saying, they're no good, get them out of here, right?
I had the same father. My dad used to just look in the mirror. But 97% of people, when they leave a job, they'll say, one of the things they'll say is, I was never trained properly.
Yes, that's right.
And it's a huge part of investing in your employees.
Yeah, there's no question about it. And yet we have a tendency as business owners to hire and then say, go out there and do your job. And most people are starving for that leadership and that training that they may not be getting at your company, right?
No doubt. The average employee is, they're trained 6 to 12 weeks max. So I developed training systems that train 52 weeks a year, because training is about communicating and having a relationship with your employees, because we have an expected result we're looking for. But unless you're communicating and showing them a clear path of upward mobility, you'll never achieve that, and you won't achieve the results you're looking for.
That is so true. There's no question. Talk to us. You talk about 3 pillars. How does an entrepreneur determine the 3 pillars of their business?
So it's really interesting. So like, I've had mission statements, I've written a sentence after sentence, and like, I go into business, I mentor a lot of businesses. I'm like, what's your mission statement? 98% of employees have no idea what their mission statement.
So many of them don't even know there is a mission statement.
Exactly,
Right.
exactly. So what I've done is develop a 3-pillar system. So I asked the founder of the company, I'm saying, give me 3 words that are relevant to your company that you feel is the result that you're accomplishing. Then I go to their employees and I say, give me 3 words that represent the company you work for. Then I go to the customer and I say, give me 3 words that represent the brand that you just spent money in. And what I do is I take people through a process to make sure every one of those is in alignment.
Yeah.
Because when they are all in alignment, from the founder, CEO, to the employee, to the customer, now you can articulate your brand, accomplish your marketing programs, delegate properly, create systems, all based around your 3 pillars of your brand. And it's the easy thing. In my restaurant concept that I have, my 3 pillars are family, quality, and community.
Right.
So every customer that comes in, they feel family, they feel part of the community, and my employees know it as well, because we treat them like family. And quality is something they do every single day, and then they all know we give back to the community.
That's fantastic. It's a great exercise. Let me ask you, do you ever do that exercise and you come up with 9 different answers from what the business owner and then right?
All the time. But I'll tell you, when this comes into alignment, it's magic.
Right.
It transforms the entire company. And it's a simple process, but this will take almost 2 months to develop for some companies. It's very difficult.
Sure, no question. Let me ask you this: you've operated a lot of businesses, successful businesses, and opened up a lot. Maybe even closed a few. Who knows? In your time, many entrepreneurs do, right? But talk to me. How does one overcome setbacks or adversities? We're all going to get them. There's no question about it. If you're an entrepreneur, you're going to have a setback. But there's some of those out there that really take it so much they can't move on, and it immobilizes them. What's your advice to those people that are dealing with a setback?
So part of my book is like taking risks and failing well, right? So failures, I didn't write a book because I'm a genius or I know so much about business. I wrote a book because of the failures that I've had in life that give me the ability to help other entrepreneurs succeed. Sure. And not have the same exact failures. But in entrepreneurship, the one thing about a classic entrepreneur is he fails, he gets up the next day and he keeps going. That's right. But the part is here is, what is the difference between a business owner and an entrepreneur? That is the critical piece that, as a business owner, it's crippling to them. Once you cross over to become an entrepreneur and you're working on your business, you can actually see the process and the procedures of what caused the failure and get up the next day and actually execute at a different place, because you've learned something. And, failing well is a huge thing for entrepreneurs. We have to learn how to fail. We take risks as entrepreneurs every single day.
That's right. That's right.
How do you fail? How do you fail well? And that's a critical point they have to learn.
That's a great term, failing well, because that's what it's all about. And I agree with you that you've only truly failed in life, as a lot of people say, when you stop getting back up, right? That's if you quit at that point, don't get back up. But entrepreneurs typically get right back up and okay, well, I'm not going to do it that way anymore. We're gonna spend all that money. We've made some mistakes, but we've learned from it. We're going to regroup. We're going to retool, and then go at it again, right?
There's no doubt. You see some of the most successful businessmen in the world have all went bankrupt or failed.
That's
and,
right.
Every business I've ever closed or failed at, I've woke up the next morning and say, first off, it's a relief when you finally close it because there's so much pain. And you get up the next day and you say, okay, what did I learn? How am I moving forward? Or how do you take that even into some of the other businesses that you own?
That's right. That's right. What's the one thing that you wish business owners understood or did more of?
I think business owners, one of my things, I don't regret really a day in my life, but the one thing I do regret is not having a coach and a mentor early enough in my career. Yeah. And I think as entrepreneurs, I call it the loneliest profession in the world. And what entrepreneurs need to do is go to your business owner that's right next door to you, even if it's not a relevant business, go sit down, have a cup of coffee with them. Yeah. Ask them their struggles, learn from each other. And that's the part that, frustrates me as entrepreneurs. And I was one of those. I was a business owner at one time and I'm like, I'm great. I don't have any problems. But the thing is, I had a lot of problems, and right. I know another entrepreneur would have been able to help me.
There's no question about it. That is great advice, and sometimes we're afraid to show our vulnerabilities, or we're afraid to even talk to other people, you meet them in business groups or social groups or networking groups, and everything's fine, everything's great. Oh my gosh, we're making $1 million. Everything's fantastic. When, to your point, it's not always that way. And sometimes, you bring up a good point. If you just, meet at Starbucks and go, hey, I'm having some challenges in this area. What would you recommend if you were sitting in my seat? And you'll be amazed as to what you find. It's great advice.
You have to ask that question. Don't be afraid to ask. Ask another entrepreneur.
That's right. And by the way, as entrepreneurs, we're all too happy. In fact, when somebody calls me and says, I'd love to get your advice on something, I kind of sit up and go, do you really want my advice? Right. I feel good about it, right? I'm like, show me, tell me where to meet, And,
they want to pour into each other because we all know the pain and the suffering it takes to be an entrepreneur. It's not an easy life.
That's right. No question about it. What challenges do many business owners face when trying to scale their business? This is something that you talk about here. Obviously, the name of the book is The Business Scaling Blueprint. What are some of the challenges that they have when they say, okay, we're going to scale this business?
I'm in the franchising space, so when I'm selling a franchise, I'm selling systems. And there's two key elements that really stop entrepreneurs from failing. Their systems are broken, or they don't even have systems written down. They want to duplicate their business, but they don't even know how to execute it. And then the other piece is investing in your employees and through delegation, right? Allowing employees to take a risk and fail. I call them micro failures and macro failures. You have to allow your employees to fail, have a micro failure. Obviously, a macro failure can hurt your company. But until you start trusting other individuals to actually grow your business, you'll never grow. That's right. The most. We grow through our people. It's human capital that is the most important thing in our business.
That's right. So it's so true. So let me ask you this: since you brought up franchising, there's a lot of people that say, "Wow, I make a great cookie, and everybody loves my cookies. I think I'm going to franchise these all over America. We'll have 5,000, Jim's Cookie companies out there." What advice would you have to business owners looking to build a franchise community?
Be ready. It's a lot of work. It's a ton of work, but you have to make sure that you can duplicate it. So what I tell franchises, go open up a second location, a third location, because that's truly when you see the breakdown in your brand.
Yeah.
Right. So, and being in business, I was in the restaurant business 30 years. I've been in construction a long time. So when you open that second or third location, like your systems start to get really defined because that's when failures, right? But it causes friction. I've developed almost every system in my companies through friction, right? So every time I have friction, I create a new system, a process, a procedure. And I'd love to say that, over 30 years, I've created so many systems through friction, and still to this day, I'm in the dirt every day. And I think that's the biggest difference with me. I've been an entrepreneur for a long, long time, but I'm in the dirt still every single day, creating systems, processes, and procedures to get the expected result I'm looking for.
See that? It never ends, does it? It just never ends. As long as
if it ends, you probably need to retire.
That's right. You've had a nice big exit, and you go, okay. But as so many entrepreneurs, you're probably one of them. You get a big exit and you've done this already. You can't retire. It's like a sport, right? It's like retiring from golf. You got to go back to it,
It's just the fuel. It feeds my body every day.
That's right. That's right.
In that mix.
That's right. And even like golf, even though you had a really crappy day on the course, you go, yeah, I got to go back and do better. And that's so much a part of an entrepreneurship, isn't it?
For sure, yeah.
There's no question. A friend of mine told me in terms of franchising, he's a franchise expert, and he said, unless you have $1 million ready, okay, don't even think about franchising your business because of all of the things that have to go into franchising that business. You may only sell a franchise for, $50,000 or $100,000 or $150,000, but you need about $1 million to decide, okay, we're going to be a franchisor now and set. Would you agree with that dollar amount? It costs you money, doesn't it?
I don't know the exact dollar amount, but it's going to cost you right out from the get. It's going to cost you $200,000 to get your documents right. But then it's like you need your support system, and that's where the $1 million comes from. Your CFO, your COO, all of your support, and that's where there's a lot of money, and it's a major investment. But
it is.
The thing with franchising is the worst thing you hear is, "Oh, my franchisor never supports me." And that's the key element. You have to make sure you have your infrastructure in place before you franchise.
Yeah, no question about it. And you need an expert to do it. It can't be that you run out there and put together an agreement and start selling franchises.
And they do it. And people
do it. I've spoken to some of them that have done it, and it's just, wow, that's amazing. But wow. So the book is The Business Scaling Blueprint, as I mentioned before. This is a book that you want to get if you're a business owner, if you're thinking about going into business. This is perfect for our audience here at the Small Business Show at ASBN. So, Tony, I want to thank you so much for joining us on the show. We very much appreciate it. Love to have you back to take out some of the excerpts that are in the book, because so many good things in here. And I think it's really going to help a lot of entrepreneurs out there to scale their business. So thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And like I said, my whole goal is for entrepreneurs to win. Thank you for having me today.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us for another edition of The Small Business Show with Jim Fitzpatrick.